For this week's installment of Joe's Super Awesome Podcast, we're talking about the devastating hurricane that smashed the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. Alli Trask is the executive director of the American Red Cross in Western North Carolina and just spent nearly a month in that devastated country. And she just returned to the Carolinas a couple of days ago. We were lucky enough to spend a few minutes with us to talk about what she's seen and how there is still so much more work left to be done. So here's my talk with Alli Trask of the Red Cross. So, Alli, how long were you in Puerto Rico for?
23 days.
What did you see when you were there?
All the things.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of resiliency. I saw a lot of tragedy. There were places that we would drive through and you would wonder where the disaster was, save a few trees that were down, and leaves that were missing, and then other places we couldn't even get through, and didn't open up until the end of my visit, and still are opening up so that people can get in and access, and those people are just completely cut off without access to anything.
Wow, unbelievable. And I know that when you left there, before you left there 24 days ago, I'm sure you had some sort of idea of what Puerto Rico would be like, what sort of devastation they saw, and how does it compare to what you thought it was to what it actually was?
I think somebody did a comparison, and I'm not sure who it was, but that it was like someone had just lit a match. And when I first arrived, I had exactly that feeling. I looked around, and the trees were just sticks, and I actually saw a couple of trees that it literally looked like someone had just ripped them out of the ground and stuck them back in at the top, and the roots were up in the air. It was just amazing. And then you see people's homes, just entire top stories missing, and their belongings scattered everywhere, or rooftops missing, and everything open to the elements. It just untold things, really, just things that you wouldn't even imagine.
Wow. And so what were some things you were doing out there?
So I got very fortunate to be on a team that had a dual role. We did some distribution, which meant that we would meet every morning and we would follow a truck to an area that was in need, and we would distribute bottled water, we would distribute tarps. We had local boxes, which has fresh fruit and vegetables and food that is specific to the area, that would normally appear in their cuisine. We would hand that out to families. We did snacks, hand sanitizer, things like that. And we would also do reunification. And what that basically entails is going in and registering people for Safe and Well, which is our website where, people can say, I'm safe and I'm well, or I'm safe and I need this, to notify their family who may not otherwise be able to reach them. And remember, most people are without access as far as cell phones or internet and that sort of thing. And so we're going in teams and providing that connectivity so that family in the States or elsewhere can make sure that they are safe and at least know that they're okay until they can, have a longer conversation. And we would go in with satellite phones and allow them to call, and it was amazing to stand and watch people as they had their first conversation weeks in with family members, around the world, and just see their eyes light up and the tears fall down as they were able to let their family know they were safe, and to connect. And one of my favorite moments was we were able to get a call to Spain out for a lady, and the son was on the other end, and he confirmed her plane ticket, and she was going to stay with him until conditions improved in her living space. So that was just a really beautiful moment for us.
Oh, my goodness. And how did things improve during your 23 days there? What were things like when you got there, and then compared to how things were going when you left?
Yeah, well, my flight actually arrived at night, and so all of the stories that you heard and all of the things that we were told to be prepared for and to expect, that it was a hardship assignment, I felt a little bit more foreboding, flying in the dark, and you look, and there should be an island, there should be lights, and there's nothing, and then you see some lights at the airport, and you see maybe a few speckles here and there in larger communities along the coastline, but for the most part, it was just pitch black. And then as the sun rose the next morning and we got out into the communities, even just in San Juan, you noticed power lines down. There were no red lights. There was just a lot of room for chaos. But the amazing thing was the spirit that you felt, in the communities, and everyone was working together. And if you stopped your car in the middle of the road, no one honked, and people just waited. Everyone was patient and supportive and assumed that you had a reason, that kind of stuff that you don't normally experience. And that was happening in the beginning. And then towards the time I left, you saw a lot more lights on. We had power a couple hours in the evening, and we would have it in the morning. And, of course, the generators would turn off during the day. I was able to get a little bit of cell phone reception around the different places on the island. So things kind of started to improve slowly. Power started to return to some of the larger areas. And more importantly, or maybe not more importantly, but also a lot of the communities that we just simply couldn't get to, individuals would walk up and put their hand on your arm and just with tears in their eyes say, please go here, please take supplies here, my family's here, and they're completely cut off. Those access roads began to open up. And so we were able to start going in with the reunification and with supplies and water and working with other agencies there. So things were starting to improve as far as access goes.
And is that what amazed you, was the spirit of the people of Puerto Rico?
100%. Yeah, people keep asking me, oh, so you're back. How is it? And I'm like, my body is back, but Puerto Rico completely stole my heart, and I think it's not coming back. It's a different feeling than anywhere I've ever been, and people are just generous. People opened their homes to us. We would be distributing supplies near their driveways or near where they were staying, and they would just come out and offer us coffee. There was one family that bought us pizza. We were distributing for several hours every day, and it was hot, and we were tired, and they just took care of us, and they were grateful. I actually had people coming in and bringing back things that they weren't able to use and saying, please give this to someone else. We don't use this. It's just overwhelming.
Wow. Oh, my God. And I know that you started with the Red Cross in the Asheville area in 2016, correct?
I did in November of last year. I've almost been here a year.
Almost a year. And how does this compare to anything you've ever seen before?
This particular trip compares to nothing. The Red Cross and our mission, we're everywhere. There's so much going on all the time, but especially in the past 3 months, from the eclipse through all of the hurricanes to even locally here, we've had apartment fires and we've had some tornadoes and things like that. And what this trip allowed me to do was to really get close to some volunteers. And I actually was a volunteer before I came to the Red Cross, but to spend time with them. And so now I feel like I'm even more inspired just to see that, the 90% of us that lead the way, that are the boots on the ground, that deliver our amazing mission, are volunteers. And they do that really incredibly hard work for free, and to get to spend time with that and be encouraged by them and learn from them and then come back and be able to relate better to our volunteers here was just invaluable to me.
Oh, that's amazing. And so what can people here in Asheville and where I am in the upstate of South Carolina, what could we do to help even more if possible?
Well, cash is always king. Mm-hmm. So if anyone is looking to contribute financially, the reason that's a really good thing is that it allows us to get exactly what's needed as that need constantly changes. And even in my 23 days, what we were distributing and what was required in the beginning has changed in so many ways to now, we'll continue to do so. But also people can get involved and volunteer, and you don't have to go to Puerto Rico. You can volunteer in your own community. The Red Cross absolutely is neighbors helping neighbors, and that's the beautiful part of it, and the spirit of it is just giving of time in, whatever you have and connecting with others. I have made lasting relationships and family, not friends, but family from this experience. And our volunteers do that every day around the world. So that's a really great way to get involved.
Oh, that's wonderful. Do you plan on going back to Puerto Rico, either with your Red Cross hat on or any time to visit? Do you have any thinking of visiting there again?
Yeah, I joke that I'm a wholly owned subsidiary of the Red Cross, but it's completely true. I don't think I ever take off the Red Cross hat.
Right.
But I definitely will go back to Puerto Rico. That's not a place I could ever just not go back to. And I really look forward to seeing how they recover and over the coming months and years. I mean, this is going to take a while. Some of those places have just begun to be accessible. So it's a beautiful place, and tourism is a huge part of their economy, and so I think everyone should go. It's just an amazing place and a wonderful spirit, and the resiliency and the generosity of the people there is overwhelming. But I'm really grateful, for the experience, and I hope that people know that our volunteers are in some of the worst conditions around the world in deployments, and they do it with a smile on their face, and they serve communities and their neighbors and deliver the mission and get so much out of it. It's something that this experience, a volunteer experience, even locally, is just irreplaceable. So hopefully people hear that and can get involved, because I want everyone to know and feel what our volunteers feel every day.
Thank you for joining us, and make sure you catch all of our episodes on foxcarolina.com, or you can subscribe on iTunes or Google Play and Stitcher as well. We'll be back next week with movie director and friend of mine, Dal Kelsey, who created an amazing film that's showcasing the horrible world of human trafficking, but it has been winning awards throughout the Southeast, and it's brand new. So make sure you listen for that, and until next time, take care.